Yes, Hassan, Advisor Strategy Innovation, Professor Dr. Mustafa Kamal in absentia, Team Academic Affairs, and respected Professor Dr. Kabir Rakibul Kabir of HRDI, Department of Accounting in Nepal International University. Distinguished participants and the madam who was here spoke earlier, and anybody who will come through. Assalamu alaikum, and a very pleasant afternoon to all of you, to the distinguished participants in particular, on this rather soaky day. I'm indeed very happy and proudly privileged to be present on this auspicious occasion, marking the certificate awarding ceremony for 2 postgraduate diploma courses in Human Resource Management and more recently, certificate in Forensic Accounting and Financial Fraud Detection, PGC and FAQD. I think also my heartiest congratulations to the 2 facilitators, the resource persons, Dr. Sajjad Hassan and Mr. Anwar Hussain, for pioneering, first of all conceptualizing and then getting interaction with Effort International University through the liaison of Mr. Dr. Professor Rakib and the Dean, and eventually crystallizing that into practical reality. I would presume, it's not known objectively, that this could be the first ever postgraduate certificate in forensic accounting and financial fraud detection. There have been human resource management courses throughout this country in various universities at various points in time. But so far I understand this is the first ever done here. I was involved in organizing a seminar on forensic accounting and auditing and investigation way back in 2011. Since our own institute was a little bit unstable with its decision whether to do it or not, so I did it on the platform of FCA in Lakeshore Hotel, Gulshan. There were about 140 participants. The speakers were from the UK and from Raman North KPMG in Bangladesh. They were, and I acted as the session chairman, but the chief guest was that Attorney General, Barrister Fida Kamal. He's my senior friend, come senior brother as well. So he acted very positively and reacted to several of the legal related queries that came to the floor. But so far, a formalized course is concerned, I think this is the first one. I was just going through the course contents while coming to Ashulia, and I mean, it's a very comprehensively divided. I think they've covered all between the 2 of them, and also starting with Professor Rakib in the beginning, explaining the financial accounting aspects and how they interrelate with the forensic accounting. I think it's a very comprehensive coverage in terms of the scope, the ambit, and the necessity of forensic accounting, particularly in the present context of Bangladesh, the global scenario, the white-collar frauds, and how to detect them, and other one point I mentioned that has already come up in under investigation in Bangladesh, mobile transfer operators. Huge amount of frauds have taken place in Nagab, which is public information, and we cannot speak of that. In fact, it is rather sad in a way because I was the pioneer of mobile financial service in this country. I may say so. Robert Smith and myself, we emulated what Kenya had done in East Africa. They called it M-Pesa. Pesa is the currency, M is mobile currency transfer. That was done mainly for medical purposes, e-health. So now we replicated that in Bangladesh. So that was a national innovation, Mr. Manohar, in terms of that. And Bangladesh Bank initially allowed us. I ran what was called a challenge fund. Robert Smith and myself, he was MSc in biochemistry, later on a chartered accountant, studied in Oxford University, UK. We ran the challenge fund component, and the whole project was aimed at center, the BSCH, automated clearing house, check processing automation system, BFTA, all these came through that process, that program remittance and payments partnership project. We ran the remittance payments challenge fund. See, we combined Eastern Bank Limited as the grantee entity with Bangla Link. Since EBL only had about 27 branches in those days, গ্রামগঞ্জে টাকা পৌঁছে দেওয়ার জন্য, and that was a very much a success project. But immediately thereafter, the Challenge Fund Assessment Panel Chair, Mr. Ziauddin Siddiqui said, "No, we cannot continue like this anymore. So the mobile operators must invest in their own platforms." Bangladesh Bank put up a tender, 28 banks responded. In fact, Dutch Bangla, which now operates Rocket, was the first one to come forward. And you are too young to remember that. This goes back to 2012, 11, 12, 13 and the like. Amar ছেলে টাকা পাঠিয়েছে তাও আবার মোবাইলে মালয়েশিয়াতে। That was our project funded. The recipient was Eastern Bank and in partnership with Bangladesh. There were inherent limitations. কারণ আপনি জানেন একটা এনজিও ওভারনাইট ভর্তিং only 5,000 টাকা। একটা যদি সৌদি আরবিয়া থেকে বড় রেমিটেন্স আসে, how do you give it? So they have to come the following day. We had NGOs involved like Guru, Multi Transfer Channel, etc. as well. So I think mobile transfer operator and other thing, although in the second project, Business File 4 in Bangladesh also, these are UK DFID funded projects. We partially paid big cash for financial inclusion, but unfortunately big cash did not lower the rates till now yet. Now coming back centrally on the theme, coming to deviate with your permission and with Professor Rakib's permission, to deviate I am sort of flashing few ideas among a very bright group of participants so that they get a relevant background appraisal of the accounting scenario, which Professor Rakib knows very well, and what we have now today come to. You see, in our remittance payment challenge, we said there are 3 levels of innovation. One, otherwise becomes a discovery or an invention. Domestic or local innovation, which is Bangladesh. Regional sort of innovation, which is regional. It will be South Asia, Asia Pacific region, and international innovation. So in fact, for mobile money transfer, the international innovation took place in Kenya. We were the second to operate it in Bangladesh. We replicated the Kenyan M-Pesa, which was really intended for medical purposes. We also tried to work it with the migrant workers in Bangladesh, but there were no takers. অনেক টাকা জমেছিল অলরেডি ওনাদের যে অফিস আছে এখানে, কিন্তু একটা বডি একজন মারা গেলে বডি আমরা they cannot wait for months together, so they funded their own expenses. Now আমি যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম, Professor Rakib, I hope will come back soon, যে if you go to the very fundamentals, okay, I'm on a religious note, sir, আমি বলবো Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Alaq was revealed upon a holy prophet and the Mount Hira 1,450 years ago. It said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ikra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq khalaqal insana min 'alaq. Ikra wa rabbukal akram allazi allama al-qalam. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. These 5 verses, there was a fatra for 6 months, 6 years, God knows how long. We need to আমাদের Prophet Muhammad ঘাবড়ে গেছিলেন কি was it a dream, but then his wife clarified the situation. No, this is what the Jews always thought. She met her cousin who was of the Christian faith and said, no, Muhammad, you are the blessed prophet. তো তখন দেখেন ইকরা means proclaim, read, recite আল্লাহ তাআলার নামে, read is in the name of Allah who created এক মানুষকে সৃষ্টি করছেন from a clot of congealed blood. Proclaim the name of the Lord most compassionate, who teacheth men that by the pen that which he know not. মানে এই যে কলমটা আজকে আপনারা দেখবেন এখন ইউনিভার্সিটি, এই কলমটা আগে ছিল না, এটা ছিল বল পেন ছিল, এর আগে ছিল দোয়াত কলম বা ফাউন্টেন পেন. These pens are not when the young student is not allowed for, you have to use a pilot or a Parker or something like that. Calculators also not allowed. Now, maybe a time will come when Allah SWT will enable human beings to write on the sky. এখন তো আমাদের কম্পিউটার মাউস বা একটা টাচ মোবাইলে টাচ করা, একটা ফ্লিক করা, that is our follow. Maybe it will come to the lenses in the foreseeable future. Now, the reason I brought that in is because we are talking of innovation. Professor Rakib is a very learned person leading the accounting department at a very esteemed university here. So, accounting, uni bole gechen age language, business language. He is absolutely correct. Language of business. Now, in that context, getting the lead from our dean, I just highlight slots. See if we can make some sanity out of this disorderly sort of highlighting. In recent years, contemporary years, I'm not talking of ages, I'm not looking at the passage of 1494, whatever. In recent years, it has come to focus on a number of times. We had the Asian financial crisis in the late 1990s. Only Mahathir Mohamad said no. You take it or leave it, 3.85 ringgit to the dollar, will not trade. Below that. তারপরে আমাদের কি আসলো কিন্তু ওইটাতে আপনারা কি কেউ বলতে পারবেন আপনার অ্যাকাউন্টিং এর ছাত্র কে আছে এখানে প্রফেসর রাকিব নোজ আনসার স্যার অনেকেই আছে আমরা স্যার এটার সাথে লিংক করে ওকে আমরা লিংক করব এখন লিংক করব এটা যে উনি তখন বলা হয়েছিল নট অ্যাডিয়ারিং টু দি অ্যাকাউন্টিং স্ট্যান্ডার্ডস দ্যাট ওয়াজ আনসার then in 2001 and 2 with the global financial crisis the corporate governance crisis in which we saw one of the largest chartered accounting firms go bust. In fact, it disappeared from the globe. And then we had Enron, WorldCom, Satcom and others go into liquidation and their top management go imprisoned for life and whatnot. তারপর দেখেন গ্লোবাল ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল ক্রাইসিস যখন আসলো 2007 আমাদেরকে ডক্টর ফখরুদ্দিন সরকার তখন summit was convened in Philadelphia in G20 summit. সেখানে বলা হয়েছে যখন ক্যাপিটাল মার্কেট কমপ্লিট ফেলিওর হয়ে গেছিল that the world must have a globally harmonized financial accounting reporting standards. Referring back to IFRS, accountants are peculiarly well placed to restore confidence in the marketplace and to prevent the occurrence of such occurrences in the future. এরকম না করতে পারে আর তার মধ্যে যদি আমরা যাই দেখেন যখন গ্যাস WTO আসে তো সেকেন্ড মিনিস্টেরিয়াল মিটিং অলরেডি বলে গেছে অ্যাকাউন্টেন্সি is the most important service sector and the most important interest sector of transport of flow of funds. Now, the reason I said all these, আপনার এখনো আমরা দেখতেছি এই যে forensic accounting, this has come to limelight for the last 3-4 decades. আমাদের এখানে এখন আসছে because of the situation that has come through after the student and people's revolution bringing in August 5 government over here. কিন্তু এটা কিন্তু আগেও ছিল এবং আমি রিয়েলি কংগ্রেচুলেট করবো টু ডক্টর সাজ্জাদ and Mr. Manwar in particular for conceptualizing it and bringing this concept into reality. Professor Rakib is sitting next to me in Dhaka University. I reckon other universities also replicate your synchronize with yourselves to bring about a more global organized structure under human resource management or distinctly on its own for forensic accounting or auditing investigations, which all ends up at times with financial fraud detection and measures to prevent them in the future. Unra খুব comprehensively cover করে গেছেন and areas of financial fraud are now very prevalent and forensic accounting is taking place quite often. আমাদের ইনস্টিটিউটে যদিও এখন খুব কয়েকটা আমাদের ওয়েবিনার ছিল on forensic accounting, auditing and auditing investigation is central to it. যেকোনো আপনার forensic accounting it involves accounting, it involves auditing, it involves financial fraud investigation, examining the records. অনেক কিছু লাগে আজকাল বিদেশে আপনার যারা and it is a combination of financial accounting with the legal profession. You cannot work in isolation. Neither chartered accountants nor the legal profession can work in isolation. They have to combine together to ensure that due justice is done in the outcome of what of the forensic fraud detection measures. বিদেশে এখন উইটনেসদের জেলখানা গিয়ে রেগুলারলি এক্সামিন করা হয়। There is also another Dr. I'm sure he knows. এখন certificate is also awarded for those who have examined a certain number of witnesses and very sort of well-themed newspaper media covered cases যেখানে হয় forensics involved তার কি আউটকাম সেখানে আবার এখন একটা ফরেনজিক চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্টিং ফার্ম থেকে উইটনেসের জন্য সার্টিফিকেট ইস্যু করা হয়। So this is really gaining more and more ground and going into more and more sophistication. So I'm indeed very happy to have very distinguished multi-dimensional, multi-faceted personnel, both from the Supreme Court legal profession and mainly the accounting profession, prime bank and elsewhere, and also entrepreneurs like funding NGOs and that. Manohar, with these few words, I'd like to conclude here and get along with the main of the privilege of distributing certificates. I will give you. Thank you.